Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Harsh Language Podcast. This is episode 74. Just found
74. Let's go.
Yeah. Dusty's missing again. I think he's in Disney World or something, right?
I don't know. Something like that. Disneyland.
Yeah, who knows what this guy. He's fucking digging a bunker to prepare for the shit that we just saw.
Yeah.
We watched Leave the World Behind for today's episode. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. Taking the world by storm, apparently. I don't know.
A lot of people talking about that movie.
A lot of people are talking about it. So we're here.
I won't say for some reason. I know why, but we'll get to it.
We're here to give our take on this movie. As always, folks, you can check out all of our links at our website, harshlanguage.tv. Give us a subscribe on YouTube if you haven't done so already. If you're a return listener, if you're a new listener, I mean, hey, if you enjoy the shit, then maybe consider doing it. But I won't force you to do anything you don't want to do. I'm not about that. Marvin is, but not me.
Subscribe with consent.
Yeah, we support consent.
We do
here.
love consent here.
Okay.
What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
How was your week? 2 weeks, Marvin. It's been 2 weeks.
It was cool. It's like the holiday season, so wrapping up some stuff.
Yeah, you getting your Christmas shopping done?
Yeah.
Did you go anywhere to shop physically?
Nah, I'm over that. That's never happening again.
Yeah, those days are done.
Nope. Amazon's making bank.
Tell you what, though, I feel like in the not too distant future, I talked about this with my friend. I think TikTok might be a big competitor in terms of e-commerce for Amazon.
Yeah.
TikTok,
well, they show a fucking ad every 5 scrolls, so...
Forget the ads, dude. TikTok has like this new feature called TikTok Marketplace, where it's basically people selling sponsored products, but in their lives or in their videos.
Oh, wow.
But it's part of their content. So it's like you remember QVC from like, I don't know, maybe you're too young for QVC, but it's basically that. And they're just live creators being like, yo,
so
I'm fucking talking about this product. And then you just click it and buy it. And then they get a kickback because you bought it off of their channel. It's actually really cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I could see that becoming a major competitor down the road.
A lot of people buy that shit too.
I was going to. I don't know if I told you. I asked Santa this year for a walking pad, which is basically like a small under-desk treadmill. Get my steps in. And I was looking on Amazon like anybody would, and my friend was like, oh, you should check out TikTok Marketplace. They might have some. And I searched walking pad, and sure as shit, there's like a ton of videos, people live like using the thing, and like... Yeah. It was
TikTok's
cool.
Where you go, it's like the new Google.
Well, it's cool.
It's been that for a while. Like you Google like places to eat, reviews on hotels, anything you can find on TikTok now. So
I mean, it's completely one thing to read a review of a product that you're thinking about getting, but it's another thing entirely when you like physically see and hear a person talking about it.
Oh yeah.
And it's not like I don't think it's a scam or anything. It's just like if they use the product,
some of them,
I'm sure some of them are a little bit like they don't.
Not scammy, but just like trying to make the sale.
That's fine, but that doesn't mean they don't like use and endorse the product. That's what I think is. That's what I think is cool about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like on Amazon, there has to be like special tags for verified buyers or whatever.
Right.
Where this is just like, well, they clearly own it. Like, why would they? I mean, I guess, maybe they hype it up because they want to sell it and get the kickback, but like,
right.
I don't know. I feel like that just becomes a chargeback in the long run if somebody doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Anyhow, that's cool. I haven't gone anywhere to Christmas shop. I'm online shopping all day, every day for the rest of my life. Fuck that shit.
Yep.
Unless society crumbles and all of our infrastructure goes down, of course.
They got other problems anyway.
Yeah.
Nobody's Christmas shopping.
No. Christmas shopping for like...
When the world's gone to shit.
Christmas shopping in the woods, foraging for berries and shit.
Yeah. I'm Christmas shopping at my next door neighbor's fucking... What the fuck you got?
Yeah.
I need all that.
I need all of that. I got back on my...
Go ahead.
Be like, what?
No. Go ahead. We'll talk about it when we do the.
Oh, all right. Yeah. No, I was just gonna say I'm back on my watching shit grind, Marvin.
Oh, nice. I actually watched a lot of shit. What'd you watch?
I took a couple weeks off. I wasn't like kind of in the mood to watch things, other than like movies for the podcast. But I fucking binged watched the 5 episodes of Fargo that's out, season 5.
You said it's really good so far.
Oh my God, this show, it's just a banger. Every season is really good. I mean, last season, I know it had some like, it wasn't as good as the previous ones, and people like kind of shit on it, but I thought it was still good.
Yeah.
And this season kind of goes in like a whole different direction, and it's still just as good. Like because it's an anthology series, so each season is different. And it's loosely based off of the movie Fargo. And the thing that the movie Fargo does is in the beginning, there's like a line of text on the screen that says, this is based on a true story. At the request of the survivors, the names and events have been changed. Oh, no, but out of respect for the dead, everything else is exactly as it happened. But it's just part of the movie. It's not real. Like it's not a true story.
Yeah.
And the Coen brothers have said, they directed the movie and wrote it. They had said like the only part about that movie that they were inspired by real life is the story of some dude who like murdered his wife by throwing her in a wood chipper.
Oh.
Spoilers, there's a scene in the movie where somebody's getting thrown in a wood chipper. And then, so Fargo, the show, is just based off of that concept of like, this is a true story, but not really.
Right.
And it's all things that take place in and around.
I mean, it could happen. So,
yeah, exactly.
It's like that premise. Yeah, that makes sense.
And each
Thousand
season.
Ways to Die. Remember that show?
I don't. But each season is basically just all about, random things that happen in and around the Dakotas or Minnesota, like that area. And the first season is like very much like the movie, and then the rest of the seasons like really deviate from that. But
nice.
But yeah, no, it's great. It's Noah Hawley's the creator. We've been talking about him a lot on the podcast. Dusty's been bringing him up a lot because he's doing he did Legion, which is a show that Dusty is constantly begging me to watch. Mm-hmm. But he's also doing that Alien series that's in production.
That's right. Yep.
Which, if his previous work is any indication, that should be a banger. But yeah, this season of Fargo, great, highly recommended.
Nice. What else you watch?
And then I watched the first 3 episodes of Reacher. Reacher season 2 premiered on Friday. It's now Sunday. I know you started the first season. You didn't like it, huh?
Well, I mean, hey, listen.
You said you didn't give it a fair chance.
I didn't. But I texted you, if this motherfucker doesn't talk in the next 5 minutes, I'm turning it off. And guess what I did? I turned it off.
He talks, though. You got to give it a chance.
All right.
And when he
go back then.
Listen, he talks with his fists, Marvin. Okay?
Oh, God.
No, but he does actually talk. He's just like a quiet, stoic guy. You have to understand the character. Jack Reacher's he's a character in Lee Child's novels. Lee Child's is like a famous British like thriller, mystery thriller novelist.
Okay, yeah.
Jack Reacher is a former Army special investigations guy. He was like a ranking officer, and he was tasked with forming this special investigations unit. Now he's no longer in the Army, and he's basically just a drifter. He just wanders around, and he doesn't want to get involved in anything. He's just a guy who wants to keep to himself, but motherfuckers got to start shit all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's basically what the show is about. And the first season is like literally, each season is based off of one of the books.
Okay.
The first season, he's in this Georgia town and like, helps the local police like deal with some shit. And then this season is more about like his past. It's about a member of his former unit that like turns up dead, and he like gets the band back together to try to like figure out what happened. But this motherfucker's a badass, dude. It's like if you like watching people fucking around and finding out, there's like no better show than this.
Right. Yeah,
give it a chance. The dialogue isn't the strongest. I mean, some of the dialogue is sort of like what you'd find on like a fucking NBC show or something. Daytime television even, dare I say. But the show is it's so good that you kind of ignore that stuff, I think, anyway.
Okay.
Give it a chance, Marvin. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, I will.
What did you watch? You watched a lot?
It's a lot for me. I told you first off, I watched Oppenheimer.
Oh,
which was super fire, actually.
yeah.
Um,
Might have to
yeah.
add that to the list of movies we cover, maybe next month.
I don't know how people thought that this was boring, especially in theaters. I can't imagine walking out.
I don't know anything about it, so I can't say, but I don't know. Maybe they just thought it was too long, or the subject matter was boring. I don't know. I find like that dude.
It's possible, but
super interesting.
He's super interesting. Like, I mean, any type of even though it has like such a terrible ending for what the outcome was,
right?
Any type of historical like scientific breakthrough to me is super interesting. So
yeah. Well,
I guess that's just one of my interests, though. So I'm biased in that way.
I don't know for sure, but I think the movie is largely based, like, it's about him, really, right? And not so much the actual, like...
It's about him and Strauss, which is this politician guy.
That's Robert Downey Jr., right?
Robert Downey Jr., yeah. Between them two, it's basically about them, more so than the actual bomb. But
yeah, exactly. And I assume doing a movie about the man, Oppenheimer, is largely to do with, like, how probably, like, regretful he was.
Yes.
100%. As a man, like, a man of science... Like, science is meant to,
he was also he had a lot of communist affiliations, so
yeah,
it was like a whole thing. You probably know the
well, yeah, that stuff is ridiculous. That's just like the USing, but like, as a scientist, like, science is meant to like help humanity, and he created this like weapon that could end humanity.
Exactly.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah. So that part of it I find super interesting.
It's so good. I mean, it's just one part. I'm not going to spoil it because it would be kind of a spoiler, I think. So, but it's just one part just gives me so many chills, and when it's like towards the end. But
I'll check it out. Is that the I am become death scene, or
no? It's just I don't think it's a spoiler, so I guess I could talk about it. He's just talking. He's talking to someone, and he's like. Something along the lines of like, I hope we didn't, I asked you about, basically there was a part where they were concerned that the nuke would make a chain reaction that would ignite the atmosphere and destroy the entire world, right?
Right.
And there's like a callback to that, to him making that point where he's like, I was hoping we didn't destroy the world or something like that. And it's kind of like a flash forward to like how, how all the crazy amounts of nukes we have now, and like how the nukes can be fucking sent from all kinds of places. And it's like him basically seeing into the future, like seeing the world being destroyed, not by his nuke in particular, but by what he created, essentially.
I mean, his breakthrough was splitting the atom.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I did a terrible job of explaining it, so.
No, I got it.
No spoilers.
I don't know how many people really truly appreciate the fact that like how much that the fact that we dropped those bombs on Japan, how much that trickled through the rest of history.
Right.
I made you watch that show, the Untold History of the United States from Oliver Stone.
Amazing show.
And that series largely is framed around that one event, but it's not just that series. It's which is a documentary series, but like the history of America is framed around that one event. Like we have used that event that we dropped the bomb on Japan really to get to the place we are today in terms of like being this global superpower, the global superpower, the American empire that like nobody would fuck with, and I don't say that in a way of like, we're America, fucking nobody's gonna fuck with us. America, bro. It's a bad thing. Like they don't fuck with us because of that. Like we did the thing, the unthinkable thing.
Unthinkable,
and we'll do it again. Just
the war crime.
And literally. Nobody wants to test us. That's the whole thing. Like all these people who we're also going to talk about later on that like, oh, fucking China's fucking, they're getting ready for some shit. It's like, no country would fuck with us. Like they just wouldn't, because they know what we're capable of. And that's not a good thing. And that we have achieved. I make the joke a lot that America is like the Debo of the fucking world.
Oh yeah.
And
America's definitely Debo. Foot on the neck. They can't let up.
Nah, we're out here fucking snatching chains all day.
And the craziest thing is like that nuke, like there's a website where you can put in different types of nukes, and you could put in your address or your city or whatever, and it'll show you the impact, right? But like the thing is, Russia has like nukes that are like 100 times the size of the nuke that we dropped on Japan.
Yeah.
It's like why do you need this fucking
Why not?
crazy nuke?
Hey, someday,
I guess, yeah.
Someday you might have to blow up the moon.
What's that thing where it's like they want to if there's like war and each side is nuking each other, you want to make sure that both sides are destroyed. So if you attack us, we got to make sure that we would destroy you in the process. There's like a phrase, I can't remember the phrase, but
I'm not sure, but yeah, that's for sure the mentality. Like you fucking, we'll take you out with us. I don't give a fuck.
Where everyone's dead. Yeah, like it's crazy, dude.
But haven't watched that yet. I'm looking forward to watching. It's one of those movies that like might take me a minute unless I'm forced to watch it for the podcast. And I don't say forced in a bad way. It's just I don't know. Sometimes 3-hour movies, I really gotta fucking pump myself up for them.
Yeah, no, I get that. It was a pretty smooth watch, though. I won't lie. I didn't feel like there were any slow moments.
Yeah, I mean, when you have great acting and great characters and writing and stuff, like that's just what happens. But I recently watched. There's a series on YouTube. I forget which entertainment thing does it, but it's called Actors on Actors, and it's basically two actors like interviewing each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I just watched one that was Robert Downey Jr. and Mark Ruffalo, and large part of the conversation was about like Robert Downey Jr.'s performance in that movie, and he was talking about
amazing.
He was talking about like.
Oh, I can't hear you.
Hello.
Is it me?
I think so.
I think it is me. Oh no, it's not me.
No,
the mic went out.
What? Hello.
Yep, I hear you now.
Oh, I wonder if the connection thing, Discord connection.
Probably. Discord is blowing up. It's going to shit. They're gonna start charging us regular people.
Well, it's getting big.
It's getting really big, yeah.
But yeah, anyhow, I was just saying in that interview, Robert Downey Jr. was largely talking about like Christopher Nolan's process as a filmmaker, and it's very interesting stuff. What else did you watch?
What else did I watch? I randomly watched the second Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out in like 80 something. I want to say something.
Awful piece of shit. Yep.
It was like funny though. It's like because I've been playing the Texas Chainsaw game.
I know you're obsessed.
And I just randomly was like, hey, let me watch this because some of my friends I play with telling me to watch it. And so I watched it, and it was like, okay, I mean, it was funny, more funny than anything.
Yeah.
But it was all right. It was pretty. I feel like it had a kind of a good beginning, and then it got really bad towards the end. But
there was a trend.
It was a funny watch. That was about it.
There was a trend with these like horror movies from the 70s that like. Halloween was really like one of the only franchises that didn't go in this direction, but a lot of these, Texas Chainsaw Massacre most notably, and Evil Dead did it as well, but Evil Dead did it in like a really brilliant way.
Yes, they definitely tried to do that with this, but it was nowhere near.
Yeah, they go from being like dead serious horror films to like slapstick weird movies. And most notably, Nightmare on Elm Street does that. Like Freddy in the first one is like, he's funny and snarky, but they take that snark and like really fucking run with it for the rest of the franchise movies. And it's he's almost like a joke at this point, Freddy Krueger.
Right.
So it's, I don't know. I never really liked the any of the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, although the remake wasn't terrible as I remember.
It wasn't terrible.
Obviously,
you're talking about the one that came out like the 2000s or whatever.
Yeah, the one with Jessica
2000s.
Biel.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
Oh, can you reshare the screen?
Oh shit, my bad. Forgot I left the call. What else did you watch?
Oh, I feel like I'm missing something. Oh well, I watched Holdovers
Oh,
because we
yeah?
were supposed to.
I
We
never
were
got
going to
around to
cover that.
watching it. Was it good?
Oh, it was great. I think I actually got rid of my notes, sadly, but
Oh,
I
right.
enjoyed it a lot. It was more of a drama for sure than comedy, I think, but it was really good. Like it was a feel good Christmas movie. I'm not sure why they released that shit in August though. I feel like it probably would have been bigger if they would have waited to release it in.
I still have
But I
to
guess
watch
they
it.
wanted to. I guess they wanted to maybe. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking with that. But it's definitely a Christmas movie, family movie. What kind of family? It's like rated R, but
I feel like
it was good.
a lot of
I
movies and
enjoyed it.
shows and stuff are just still scrambling from the strikes and
Yeah,
like COVID and like all this crazy. Like, I don't
that's
think
true.
the industry has like fully bounced back to regularly scheduled programming yet from that.
Yeah,
So that might be why. But
yeah.
yeah. Anything else?
I think that's it. Actually,
You lost your notes on that, or you got rid of them? Because I was thinking maybe we reschedule it.
I got rid of them, but I mean, I can remember pretty much. I think I can remember.
All right, maybe we reschedule it then.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think that's all I. I think that's
Fair.
all I watched. Yeah.
Well, got no news this week, Marvin. Dusty's not here. He's our newsman.
Yeah.
I tried to find some stuff. Doesn't seem like much is going on. And plus, I wanted to dedicate a little bit extra time to this movie because I think there's a lot to talk about. But the one piece of news that I did read that I am surprised I didn't hear about right away is that it was announced that Death Stranding is being made into a movie.
That's going to be fire.
And A24 is doing it. And you know A24 puts out bangers.
Bangers, yep. And he's also working on that game with Jordan Peele.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they claim that this movie will be more than a direct translation. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, interesting.
So
maybe we'll finally get a good adaptation of a...
Maybe. According to this article, the movie will be based on the debut release from Hideo Kojima's post-Konami studio, Kojima Productions. The game follows Norman Reedus' Sam Porter Bridges as he trots his way across a very Iceland-looking North America with a massive stack of crates on his back and a baby in a jar in his front. You didn't play Death Stranding, right?
No, I've seen like some stuff.
It's like really a great game. You wouldn't think so, but it is. So yeah, I don't know. That's pretty exciting.
You sent that also.
Well, hang on. So
go ahead.
They say while Death Stranding is already packed with actors, don't expect a direct adaptation, not least because it'd presumably be 7 hours of Rita's grunting and picking up boxes he's dropped. Echoing his past comments that, quote, there's no real need for straight video game movie adaptations, the designer said that Death Stranding film will aim for something that can only be done via film rather than video games. Quote, there's a lot of game adaptation films out there, but what we are creating is not just a direct translation of the game, he said. The intention is that our audience will not only be fans of the games, but our film will be for anyone who loves cinema. We are creating a Death Stranding universe that has never been seen before, achievable only through the medium of film. It will be born. Kojima is very well known for his love of film. He's friends with fucking Guillermo del Toro and fucking all sorts of like auteur directors.
Yeah. I mean, he would have to be to make the games he's made.
Yeah, that's his thing. Like it's one of his biggest criticisms from people and also one of the things people love him for. Like I love the Metal Gear games because they're cinematic. Like
right.
So it's either your thing or it's not. Yeah. In fact, a friend of mine like recently said to me, like, when I mentioned that he's doing that game with Jordan Peele, he's like, oh, I don't know, it's fucking kind of like whack. It's like if he wants to make a movie so bad, like just go make a movie. And it's like, I felt like that was such like a shallow way to look at something. It's like
it is.
He brings something to video games that nobody else does. That's why he's like a legend in the industry, whether you like him or not, like his games or not. Like, also. Kojima talks about it all the time. Like video games are a medium that can what he just said about movies. Like there are things that only cinema can do and there are things that only video games can do. And those things don't often coincide. And that's why video game adaptations are usually terrible is because They're trying to do something that only a video game can do.
Right, hundreds of hours of
Yeah, and like
little
putting
things.
a player into the role of a character, having to make decisions and like do things and experience things. It's completely changes the way a story is told. So yeah, that was something whack that was said to me recently. What did I share that you were talking about?
That Civil War trailer.
Oh yeah, so a friend of mine pointed that out to me last night. Actually, when I sent it, I had no idea that movie was coming out. It seems like it's very similar in theme to what we watched and what we're going to talk about here in a few minutes.
Yeah, it looks like the sequel to the movie we're going to talk about.
But this is a new movie coming from Alex Garland, and I said to you it's guaranteed banger because Alec Garland only makes bangers.
Yep.
If you don't know who
I
he
love
is,
Ex Machina, so
Ex Machina is a great movie.
so good.
Annihilation's a great movie. Men was a great movie. This man has not been a part of a bad movie, I don't think. He got his start writing movies that Danny Boyle directed. The Beach, 28 Days Later, Sunshine. It's just there's very few people on this planet that have like just guaranteed good things, and he's one of them.
That's hard. That type of consistency, that's tough. Dude.
Yeah, I think I posted something else. Let me go back into the chat real quick and just
Yeah, you
see.
posted a couple things.
Yeah, there was obviously the trailer for Beverly Hills Cop. Axel Foley dropped. Did you watch that, Marvin?
Yeah, I did watch the trailer. The trailer wasn't very funny, but I'm hoping the actual movie is. I mean, it's cool they're bringing back like Rosewood and Taggart. That's cool, but it's like mostly action from the trailer.
Well, I mean, but it is an action movie. It's just an action comedy, right? Even the first one.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess. Well, I never watched the trailer of the first one or anything, but I feel like comedy movies usually have more comedy portrayed in the trailer.
Well, I think that was sort of like the strength of Eddie Murphy at the time. Like again, those movies came out when he was like at the height of his fucking career.
Yeah,
and could do no wrong. And like those movies are just funny purely because he's in them, right?
Yeah.
Being Eddie Murphy.
Right.
This from this trailer, it could just be a bad trailer, but this doesn't really seem to have that feel to it.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
And honestly, all the movies that I've seen of him recently, like what was the movie where with
You People? We People?
You People, yeah, You People. It was a decent movie. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was better than I expected. But that recently the sequel to Coming to America came out, which was not good. I just feel like all his movies in the last couple of years, it's like him trying to be Eddie Murphy, which is very bizarre. Yeah,
that is, yeah.
And
so Eddie fell off.
I don't know that he fell off. He's just old. And he's not relevant.
Cat Williams, just like Cat Williams, I guess.
Like you have a guy like him, right? Like he was famous for like one thing, right? And I don't mean one thing in terms of like movies. He was famous for being funny.
Yes.
And a very specific brand of humor. Like his humor is his. It's not like anybody else's. So when you have Eddie Murphy in a thing, you expect
is that true though? He's heavily inspired by like Richard Pryor, and you can tell.
Very heavily inspired by Richard Pryor, but I still think he made his own sort of thing. Because Richard Pryor really never. I mean, Richard Pryor was in movies, but I don't feel like Richard Pryor was as big as a movie star as Eddie Murphy was.
No, for sure.
And I don't think. Well, yeah. So that's basically my point. Is so now it's like he's like way past his shelf life, and when he's in something, people expect him to be a certain way.
Yeah.
So it feels like he tries a little bit too hard. When you get older, you're not the same person. Like you may like.
Right.
You have to sort of.
I mean, yeah, he can't. He can't even be the same person.
Grow and adapt
in this, current time that we're in. So.
Right. And that's not me saying the movie's going to be bad. I don't think the trailer was particularly strong.
Same.
But we'll see. I'm going to watch it. I mean, it's Beverly Hills.
I'm going to watch
Cop,
it. It's going to Netflix, so that's great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about.
Sorry.
On the other hand, someone put a trailer. Oh, it was Dusty. The If trailer.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. No, you posted this one. Dusty posted If.
Oh, he did post it. I thought I was good.
Yeah.
I thought I posted it. Yeah. No,
this
that looks good.
It looks cute. I don't think I would see this in theaters. This isn't something that I would rush out to see.
No, I wouldn't see it in theaters either. But I will say this: Ryan Reynolds is fucking good in everything. I've seen them in. I don't think I've seen a bad Ryan Reynolds movie. Like, they're not
That's
good
fair.
movies, but they're still good and enjoyable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's like a cool little story. Like, it reminds me, there's a movie from back in the day. I don't even remember when it came out, but I used to watch it as a kid. And it's like not what you'd consider a good movie by any stretch. But I think it's a little bit of a cult classic. It's called Drop Dead Fred. And it's basically about an adult woman who, like, she's got like depression and this, that, and the other thing, if I remember correctly. And she's like going through a divorce. Yeah. And her imaginary friend from when she was a kid like pops back up into her life, because the whole point of the movie is that like imaginary friends are like trauma responses. So because she's dealing with something in her life, like he comes back. And it's a very funny, like, you know, cute little movie. And this kind of reminds me of that a little bit. But this has like the twist of like they're trying to help sort of like rehome, I guess, lost imaginary friends. I don't know. It seems cool. John Krasinski is directing it. He wrote it. So we'll see.
That is cool. It seems, for me, it seems a little similar to Monsters, Inc.
A little bit.
Know if you remember that Disney movie.
Love that movie.
I feel like I love Monsters, Inc.
My boy Sully.
I feel like Monsters, Inc. did what it needed to do. And I don't know, maybe this will do something different that
I don't know.
Interesting, but
we'll see.
I don't know. Yeah.
John Krasinski, I don't know. He's a little iffy. I mean,
has he written other stuff or whatever?
Yeah, he made A Quiet Place, and A Quiet Place 2.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which, like, A Quiet Place, I think is a very overhyped movie. It has 7.5 on IMDb.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen A Quiet Place.
I just like, I don't know. I
enjoyed it.
I don't hate it, but I didn't really like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in that movie that really drove me crazy, and I've argued with my friend about it. My friend, I've mentioned her, she's like, well, I've mentioned her opinion on movies. Like, she's like,
she's got some questionable opinions.
No, she's actually she's got good opinions. She's very forgiving about movies a lot of the time.
Oh, well, she didn't enjoy Home Alone, so.
It's not that she didn't enjoy it. I think it's just one of those things. Like the way I didn't enjoy Harry Potter that she made me watch. It's like the same thing.
That's fair.
I didn't grow up with it. I can't connect with it. And like, she has no connection to the 80s. So it's like, but she's worked in the film industry, and she just sees things from a different perspective, from an industry perspective, that changes my mind on certain things. And we've talked quite a bit about A Quiet Place because she loved it. And she was very excited to watch the second one, which we both didn't really like. But she liked the first one. And I have gripes with the first one that we argue about. And my gripes of this movie were, like, you're living in this apocalypse, right, where there's aliens or whatever the fuck, that you have to be, like, dead silent. And the whole plot of the movie is predicated on, like, you doing something that directly affects your survivability, which is having a baby.
Yeah.
You can't keep a baby quiet. And her argument to me is like, well, like, you can't control that. A, accidents happen. Also, like, they lost their kid. And like, C, they've been in this situation for many, many years. Like, life has to go on at some point. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
But that as a plot point to me was always like very stupid. Also, the beginning of that movie like drove me fucking nuts that this kid is just fucking with this loud ass toy. It's like, control your fucking kid, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what the fuck?
So there's some parts of the movie that I don't care for, but overall I thought it was like a decent movie. It wasn't really scary or whatever the fuck. So I don't know. I think John Krasinski's like, he's creative at the very least. We'll see what happens with this. It looks creative. It looks like a creative premise. So
it does. Yeah.
But yeah, those are the trailers that dropped. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that Death Stranding thing. I'm like, I've been
hype.
I mean, I want to see Kojima like break out into film. Like, I know it's a different industry. I think he could make a great film. I just, you know,
I think so too.
For whatever reason, he hasn't taken that leap yet. So maybe this is, I don't know if he's directing this or anything.
Right.
I would imagine probably not, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yep.
Has anything crossed your radar this week that you wanted to talk about?
No, I don't think so. Kind of.
Yeah, haven't seen anything. There's been no Marvel drama, nothing.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing that's been fucking, I've seen popping up all over social media, and that's the movie we're here to talk about today, Leave the World Behind, the latest from Netflix. Yeah. This is, yeah, I don't know. First of all, why does every disaster movie have to take place in New York? Like, let us rest, Lord, please. Like, we got fucking everything. Fucking alien invasions, fucking nuclear disaster. Like, leave us alone. Like, there's other cities in America. I don't know if anybody notices that.
All right, yeah.
But, like, goddamn. But this movie has critics and audiences, like, pretty divided from what I could tell. And I've seen a bunch of people talking about it on, like, TikTok mostly. In fact, Nick, who we've had on the show, shout out to Nick.
Shout out.
He like texted me one day out of the blue. He's like, "What's the deal with this fucking movie everybody's talking about?" I was like, "I have no idea." So I didn't look anything up. The only thing that I saw, like by accident, was A, there's like a ton of fucking plot holes, and B, that the movie ends abruptly, and that's why people hated it.
Oh, okay.
So I went into the movie sort of without any context other than that, sort of expecting like a not so good movie, which surprised me because this is directed by Sam Esmail. And it's also written by him, and I think he's a great filmmaker. He is most known for Mr. Robot, the show with...
Never saw it.
You never saw Mr. Robot? You've
No,
heard
it's
of it,
good,
though.
right? I've heard of it, yeah.
I only watched the first 2 seasons, which was good. I think the 3rd season gets a little bit, like, shaky. But you know, Remy Malek is in it, and he's great. Nick Christian Slater's in it, very good. But another movie that I love of Sam Esmail's is a movie called Comet with Justin Long. Very good, like romantic comedy drama kind of thing. That's like got a little bit of a twist to it.
Yeah.
And so I hearing this, I'm like, wow. I mean, I've liked everything this guy has done. I can't believe he did something shitty. But you know, it's Netflix, so you never know with fucking Netflix. But yeah. So it's directed by him. It's written by him. It's actually based off of a book of the same name that came out in 2020. And it stars Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, Myha'la, Maya. Well, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry. Do you know how to pronounce her name?
I don't.
Myha'la. It's Myha''La. I don't know if it's like a one name, like Prince type of deal or what, but her name is Myha'la. That's all. I don't know. She sounds like a Kryptonian. It's a fucking dope name. Charlie Evans is in this. Kevin Bacon, Farrah McKenzie, and some other really just not important people.
Yeah.
For the plot. But this is a movie about a family. They're city folk. They live in Manhattan, and on a whim, Julia Roberts' character, Amanda Sanford, she decides to book the family for like a weekend getaway out on Long Island. And they rent like this nice big rich posh house. And the first day that they're there, they're on the beach, and some fucking weird shit happens where a fucking ship just oil tanker comes crashing into the beach. And later that night, Mahershala Ali with his daughter, Ruth, his character's name is G.H. Scott George, I think was his name, right?
Yep.
They show up to the house and they're like, yo, some shit's going down. We got to stay here with you guys. And that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the movie because there's some distrust. Some people, black people specifically, show up in the night. And, you know, there's some distrust there. But what's going on is a disaster, basically, that they have no idea what's going on, and it forces these two families together to sort of like survive and figure out w's going on.
Yeah.
So I just made the joke.
Plot.
It is a great plot, and I went into this movie expecting not much, but I quite enjoyed it by the end of it. I'm going to be honest.
I did too.
Yeah. It's not what I expected it to be. Like, really, it's not. I thought it was a very smart movie, but I made the joke about, you know, the black family showing up because like Julia Roberts was like framed the whole movie as like questionably racist. Like she always says stuff like she clearly distrusts them because they're black. And that bothered me.
I don't think it's that.
Well, that's the thing is like, they don't make it clear.
Yeah.
But
there was some undertones there, for sure.
Like she says, like,
you know, they started off saying how she doesn't like people.
Yes,
like that was her whole thing. She doesn't like people. She hates people. Whatever that actually means. But I mean, if they were black or white, it doesn't matter what they were. If they showed up in the middle of the night at your fucking
it's weird
the house they rented to you,
right,
allegedly or whatever, right? That's weird.
It's weird for sure, but what she has her little secret conversation with her husband. She says she doesn't believe it's his house.
That was
and it's why it's like why? Because he's a black man, he can't have this like rich dude's house. Like he can't be driving a fancy car. They make a lot of comments about his fancy car and his suit and like he's a board member of the Philharmonic. Like she's like very like she just doesn't believe it, and it's like
weird. Yeah,
like that's got to be why.
Yeah,
do you know
I
what I mean?
wonder if it was that way in the book, like if she was that way. Or if it was
I don't know about that. I did
weird,
try
like race bait type shit that they put into the movie.
I don't know. It was weird. And then, you know, at another point, she's like, I don't want to stay in a house with people I don't know. But she like pauses. There's like that pause there. And it just seems to imply that it's because he's black. And even the daughter picked up on it too. She like outwardly argues with her about like certain things. So I don't know.
So speaking of the daughter, did you recognize her?
Which daughter? Mahershala Ali's daughter?
Yeah.
No.
She was in Dumb Money. She was one of the college kids.
Oh, was she? She was the... Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. I did not recognize her at all.
That's her, yeah.
That's a good catch. Did you look her up or you just recognized her?
I just recognized her face because it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, so I don't know what people like... people are either like really fucking dumb or like... you know, just refuse to understand like very simple concepts. And this is like one of those perfect times because like I feel like all the things that people are complaining about are directly what the movie's about. Yeah. And also like only serve the film and the story and the plot. And like I don't know. It's like, what do people want? Like everything answered for them? I don't know. This movie does a really great job, I think. So it's different than most disaster films because in a lot of disaster films, the disaster elements tend to be the center of the story, and the characters tend to be secondary. Here, they sort of invert that, and you're with the characters 100% of the time, and the disaster elements sort of
you don't even see. Yeah,
they exist like sort of in the background, and the movie I think attempts to sort of feel more authentic to how humans would experience a sort of crisis like this, because the movie is like sort of bizarre in a sense. Like there's weird shit happening, and you don't know if the weird shit has anything to do with like the disaster that's happening, which it probably does, but it never really answers it, and it's not really supposed to answer it. I don't know why people have this like desire to have everything spoon-fed to them. Like this is good storytelling because it's about the characters dealing with this. It's not about what's going on. So you don't need everything answered because this is very indicative of like how people would react in this type of a situation. You have no fucking clue what's going on. You got strangers sleeping downstairs from you and upstairs from you.
And it happens just like that.
Right. Look at what happened with fucking COVID, dude. Like, that's what this movie's about. It's like about how like people, it's about like the breakdown of humanity, not as a civilization, but as a people. Like you distrust everybody. You don't talk to anybody. You fucking isolate and separate. And you're listening to somebody who might not know what the fuck they're talking about over here. And like, it's about all those different things. And then, so that's one of the criticisms I saw. The other criticisms I saw are from, you know, our old friends, the fucking anti-wokes.
Oh, shit.
Who think this movie has some sort of leftist agenda because this movie happens to have been produced by Michelle and Barack Obama's production company that they started in 2018. This is their first feature.
That's a conspiracy.
Yeah. This is their first feature film. They started their production company back in 2018, and they've up until now have only done documentary stuff. I believe I don't know. I know they did like some documentary stuff. This is their first feature.
Yeah. Okay.
So the right has attached themselves to this and that it's, you know, some leftist fucking Obama shit. Which there's some points in the movie where like I could kind of understand it. But again, I think it's actually part of the plot of the movie and not like a preachy thing. But
which points?
Well, we'll get into it in a second. I wanted to just go through a couple of other things. So I mentioned this movie is really about like, it's about these characters dealing with this thing.
Yes. What would you do as a normal person in this fucking scenario?
Now, given that that is what the movie's really about, I think I don't think the dialogue was really that great.
Let me think.
I thought the acting was very good, but the dialogue seemed very unnatural to me, especially from Julia Roberts. In the beginning, when she was talking to Ethan Hawke, she mentions like your job. Like no couple fucking talks to each other that way. Like it's just some stuff like that like kind of threw me off. It didn't really ruin the movie for me, and it was like heavily weighted towards the front end of the film rather than the back end of the film. But some of the dialogue just seemed very unnatural. I thought.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's like the breadwinner, right? So I mean, I think it was kind of some plays around that maybe. Like she's the breadwinner. It
wasn't really about what she was talking about. It was just the way it was being delivered. The words she was saying just didn't seem like something natural human beings would say to each other.
That's fair.
I do think the acting was pretty good though. I thought Mahershala Ali fucking carried this movie.
Oh yeah.
That dude is a fucking destroyer. And oh my God. Good. He's unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
That scene between him and her when they were at the kitchen thing and he was telling him about the client that he had. Oh my God, that scene was so good.
Oh, when they were drinking?
Yeah. But there's a couple of funny things from him. You know, there's that one point where, you know, they frame him a little bit bizarre too. Like they kind of frame him as like,
what does he actually do? Is he like a fucking top tier accountant?
I think that's what he was. Yeah.
That's pretty much it. But yeah.
He's like a top tier accountant or like financial advisor or something like that.
For very rich people, apparently.
Yeah, and they frame him as like he knows what's going on. And I was a little bit confused by that because it turns out like he kind of knew what was going on, but not really. Yeah. And again, that's part of the movie. That's like a lot of these things that people are saying are plot holes are not. The movie is meant to confuse the audience in the same way that the people involved in this are confused. Everybody has a different theory on what's going on. The fucking doomsday prepper played by fucking what's his name? Kevin Bacon.
Yep.
He says it's fucking guarantee it's Korea or China, one of them.
Yeah.
Which is the best line of the whole fucking movie because he says it with such authority. Got another little tidbit for you. Korea's behind this. And then Mahershala Ali's like, Korea? Really? And he's like, or China, one of them. But he says it with such authority, but really has no fucking idea what he's talking about. And like, that's the point of the movie. Yep. So when Mahershala Ali is delivering his whole like thing, he's like, you know, like my fucking client, like
fucking broke it down.
Yeah.
That was a sick scene too.
But also he has no fucking idea what he's talking about.
But he's convinced like that's it.
That's the point of the movie. So all these like plot holes, I don't understand. People just like really missed the point, I think. And it seems very clear to me, like what was going on here.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't clear. I definitely thought it was aliens at one point with the satellites and stuff.
Never know. Could have been.
It could have been. Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
You still actually don't know. Yeah,
that's the point. And you know, I really do think the movie like did that effectively, and I really enjoyed it because of that. Like it reminded me a lot of some of M. Night Shyamalan's earlier movies, namely Signs and probably just Signs. Really, if I think about it, but like. Because in that movie specifically, it's like we the audience, we know just as much or just as little as the characters that we're watching.
Right.
And that I think is great. That's about
the beauty of them being like where they were, like out of the city, middle of nowhere. And it's like it's got to be the calmest portrayal of like post-apocalyptic, like a post-apocalyptic scenario. Because like you said, usually the events are more in the center, so of course, the people are going to be in some crazy action, like buildings falling and all kinds of shit. But this was rather calm, like for what was actually going around in the city. You know?
Right, and they're pretty much like I said, that we the audience are as confused as they are, and just piecing things together just as they would. So again, I thought that was a really effective way to tell the story, and you know. I talk about it a lot, and I think it really deserves reiterating for this movie. Mm-hmm. But there is a difference between the plot and the story. Mm. And the plot of this movie is just that there's something going on. The story is about these characters,
the people,
and how they're like they're dealing with many emotions like distrust and fucking fear and like, you know, I just think that movie really pulled that off effectively because there's disaster movies like you fucking There's thousands
crazy
of
action.
them, and
Yeah.
and they all, like I said, most of them deal with the disaster itself. This
Mhm.
was, I thought, very unique, and it made for like a really effective thriller. I found this movie to be very tense at
Yeah,
times.
you know what this reminded me a lot of? Well, maybe not. Well, yeah, it has some similarities to oh fuck. What was the movie Cloverfield Lane?
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes, it
Mhm.
reminded me of that because it was like
Yeah.
you don't know if the world is actually ending until
Yeah.
the end when you see like the pan out at the end of this.
Right.
The city's on fire and everything. Yeah. So it reminded me of that for sure. I don't know if you
Speaking of
would
that
agree.
scene, it was funny because this movie's supposed to take place on Long Island, which it does. They shot a lot of this on Long Island, which is,
Yeah.
where your boy's from. But like that end shot is like a swim's distance from the city. There's like no spot on Long Island that's like that.
I actually saw a comment about that.
Did
I was
you?
like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's funny.
What was the comment?
They basically said the same thing. Like God, I'll have to try to find it. I can't. It's pretty much what you said is what they said.
Yeah, well, they're meant to be in the Hamptons, which is like the furthest east of Long Island you could get. And if you go any further than the Hamptons, you're swimming in the ocean.
Oh, okay.
And the city is back west.
Yeah.
So that's just
But
the
it was just
geography
right
doesn't
across
make
the-
sense.
yeah, that's
But
funny.
it was just a little funny thing that I noticed being a
That's funny,
resident
yeah.
here. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, being a resident here, this movie also portrays very much what it would be like. And I could tell you firsthand because on Long Island where I live, if there's a fucking disaster, I'm dead. I'm done for. Because
Where you gonna go?
the traffic here on an average day is unbearable. Okay.
Oh my God.
So I'm not going anywhere. If something like this happens, I'm fucking going outside. I'm fucking cracking a beer, smoking a cigarette, and I'm just gonna let it happen because I'm not going anywhere. There's my only like means of escape would be to go like upstate New York into like the fucking mountains, but I'm never getting there because you got to like go through the city to
That's
get
right.
there,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah.
like it's over for me. So.
Ugh.
Speaking of characters, I thought Julia Roberts' character was insufferable and fucking annoying most of the time.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
I know she was meant to be that way, but again, a
Right.
lot of the dialogue and delivery, she just like came off as like annoying and unhelpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree for sure.
I really liked Ethan Hawke. I know he was like meant to be like, I don't know. Sometimes they framed him as like the husband who doesn't give a fuck, or that's how she saw him anyway.
Yeah.
Like, why are you being so cavalier about this? And he's like, I don't know what the fuck you want me to do. Like, I can't do anything. But there's that one scene when he's like begging Kevin Bacon for help. And he's like, I can't do anything without my phone. I'm a useless man. I thought that was,
Yeah.
I thought that was really good because he sells it. And also, we're all useless without our phones, really,
Essentially.
at the end of the
If you
day.
ain't the fucking doomsday prepping, you're fucking cooked.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I think my biggest surprise was that just how much people seem to have like missed the point of the movie. Talking about like people who think this is like some sort of like propaganda or like politically leaning message, specifically because of Obama's involvement. Like those people are fucking stupid. But like the whole point of the movie, like, is that very idea, right? Is that everything in the movie is meant to confuse the audience, like we said. It's how I feel like these people were very like naturally behaving the way any of us would in this type of situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
Especially, like I said, especially if you're that far away and you don't actually know what's going on.
Well, right there, you got to understand the Hamptons is like a vacation spot for New Yorkers,
Yeah.
and for a lot of
Right.
other people, but like New Yorkers especially, and like you're detached. It's meant to be detached from reality. It's why the listing of the rental was leave the world behind. Like it's just a nice, quiet vacation away from the city life and all this stuff. And I think what was also really effective about it is that like this movie didn't take place in like fucking Guatemala or something where they're on vacation. They were vacationing basically in their home,
Yeah.
which added like this whole other layer of like tension to it because it's like I don't know, it's just different. Like if you're I don't know, it's just different to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean other themes, this movie's about like misinformation, fear, and I mentioned I think it does have like a slight little undertone of propaganda, which was like that the whole world is against America sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And that we have to stand together to face it. But I also like I don't see that it was preachy, right? Like
Nah.
it's no secret the country right now is sort of in a state of upheaval, it seems. But I mean, we are largely dominated by like misinformation and nonsense. Like it's hard to know what's real and what's fake. And now with AI, that makes everything even worse. It's like,
Yeah.
so as a people, like we lean more towards the distrusting of other people than anything else, which is why I thought it was funny, that scene with fucking Kevin Bacon, where because like everybody in this movie thinks that they know what's going on,
Yeah.
but nobody knows what's going on. And that's the whole movie. And that brings me to the next criticism that people had, which was the ending. Everybody's like, what the fuck? It just ends and she's watching Friends. It's like, yeah, she's the one person that like really doesn't give a fuck about what's going on. Not because she's ignorant or is like an idiot or anything like that.
Yeah. She just accepted it.
She understands that she can't do anything about it and is like desperately searching for some sort of escapism.
Right. Yeah.
Now that was different from the book. And I think it's funny because as a filmmaker, he changed the ending to make her watch like television. He works in television. Like entertainment is a form of escapism. It's meant to distract us from the horrors of everyday life. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. I actually thought the ending was great. I mean, maybe because I'm used to like horror movies, and horror movies like traditionally don't have satisfying endings. They kind of just end and you don't get any explanations or anything like that. So I didn't find it really like, I didn't get angry at it or anything like that. What did you think about that ending?
I think it's like you said, like it just showed her as being the person, someone finally accepting that they don't know what the fuck's going on. I just want to watch the last episode of this show.
Yeah, I just want to watch Friends, dude. Like, let me enjoy my shit.
That's it.
I thought speaking of tension, so I thought the score was really good in this movie. Had that like fucking violin sound.
Yeah.
Which is like very tension inducing. And I thought the cinematography was really good. It actually reminded me of some old Hitchcock movies, believe it or not. It wasn't obviously on the same level, but like there was a lot of Hitchcockian stuff in it, especially the way Mahershala Ali was presented. He was presented as like a classic like Hitchcock character, the way he talked, the way he like carried himself. But the camera's like very acrobatic, and the way it moves through shots sometimes the camera's sideways, sometimes the scene is upside down.
Right.
Sometimes the camera's kind of flying through the shot like a fucking demon's like invading the space, like in Evil Dead or something like that.
Yeah.
But the one thing that was the most Hitchcockian thing was a lot of times in this movie, I don't know if you noticed it, characters were shown reacting to a thing before you saw the thing that they were reacting to.
I did notice that a lot.
And they hold on that. And that's a very like Hitchcockian thing, and I thought that was really awesome. The one time I thought that was a little bit fucking stupid, and it wasn't stupid. I think the way they presented it was a little bit stupid. Was the scene with Mahershala Ali on the beach, because we don't see the rubble of the plane crash that he sees. We only see him pulling the watch out of the sand when it's just a fucking arm.
Yep.
Then he falls back and sees the body. Then the camera pans out and you see that the beach is scattered with like a plane crash wreckage. Right? But like, he didn't have the reaction of a man that obviously he sees the whole fucking beach, not just the watch that we're seeing.
Yes.
So his reaction was a little bit off. So I'm not saying it was...
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm not saying it was perfect, but I liked a lot of the camera work. And a lot of stuff reminded me too of that scene in Rosemary's Baby, which we recently watched. I don't know if you remember the scene, but it's when the old lady neighbor was on the phone in the bedroom, and you only see her back. It's cut off, like the rest of her body, her actual like front body, and then the phone is cut off by like the wall. And there's actually a thing about the cinematographer of that movie, like talks about it on video, where he says like, he did that at the direction of Roman Polanski, where like he was kind of like arguing with him. It was like, well, you can't see her, and he's like, that's the point. And he said later on when he watched the movie at screenings, audiences were like leaning to try to, you know what I mean, that reaction. He's like, you know, that's like indicative of like really affecting an audience, which is kind of cool. So
this movie is awesome. Yeah,
this movie did a lot of cool stuff like that, I thought. I thought it was really funny. You know, this movie's like technology's like on the fritz and shit, and there's like every white Tesla in America just happens to be on this one road in the Hamptons. like fucking driving
Fresh
into
off the lot.
Yeah. That was funny. I thought that was a funny scene.
Do you think there was some type of meaning behind that, or was it just another random thing to confuse you?
I think it was just random to confuse you. I mean,
That's
like,
what I thought. I couldn't figure out anything that it could.
He has fun. I mean, obviously, technology is fucked up, and like, you know, Teslas are self-driving, and like,
AI
everything's
and all that.
controlled through your app, and like, if technology breaks down, like, you don't have access to your car, and there is like, there is something to be said for our ever-growing reliance on technology, right?
Oh yeah.
And this isn't the
Yeah.
only movie to deal with that. I mean, fucking Terminator dealt with it 40 years ago. Like, it's
Yeah.
you know, it's just a thing in science fiction, and probably will happen at some point. Like, technology will betray us, or we'll betray ourselves with the use of technology, with like nukes
Yeah.
and shit, like we were talking about earlier. One scene that fucking took me for a surprise was the teeth scene. That shit fucked me up, bro.
Oh man. Yeah.
I was like, where did this just come
like,
from?
what the fuck is happening now? Yeah.
It came out of nowhere because it was so unlike any other scene in the movie. But again, also meant to distract, and it reminds me of what Bane said in Dark Knight Rises: theatricality and deception, powerful agency
Yeah.
uninitiated. Like, and that movie does a lot of this. Like, because earlier in the movie, speaking of Hitchcock, remember I talked to you guys about how Hitchcock had the the gun? I can't remember what it was called, but basically,
Yep. I'm
You
just
d-
talking about.
don't show anything unless you plan to revisit it later on,
Right. Yep.
which they did in this movie. Earlier in the movie, when he's walking through the woods with his fucking sister, he gets bit on the leg by like a weird looking fucking bug.
Damn, I missed that. I think maybe,
Did you?
or I just don't remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, he like, and it's like, but it looks like an alien thing biting his leg. But it's done in a way that like we're meant to question it. Because I questioned it when it happened. I was like, what the fuck kind of bug was that? Was it a
was
tick?
that?
Like
I
he's in
didn't
a
even think. I need to go back and
yeah,
maybe I missed
he's
it.
in the woods. That's a big ass wound. But I knew it was gonna come back later on, because you don't just fucking, you know,
You can't I mean, you
isolate
can,
something with the
but-
camera and then not bring it
Right.
back. But later
Yeah.
on, it's called into question when he gets sick. He's fucking got a fever. He's throwing up blood. He's pulling his teeth out.
Oh fuck yeah.
And he's like, there's actually a funny moment where he's like, I'm not sick. My teeth are just falling out. Like I was like, what the fuck? That was very funny. But this kid's
His
clearly
neighbor-
fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
What'd you say? His neighbor what?
His neighbor Danny, the guy they go to for the medicine, he's so convinced that it's like weapons that are doing it and like causing, or was it
It was Danny.
George GH that said
No,
that?
it was Danny. Because they go
Okay.
to Danny for help because he's a doomsday prepper. He
Yep.
says there was something like this back in the 80s with
They said that. Yeah, that's
a
right.
radiation
Keep falling.
attack through sound waves, which I
Yeah.
don't know how real that is, but radiation would fuck you up like that, but not
Right.
but in 2 days,
Right.
because this is only like 2 days that they've been going through this. Also, if it was the sound, why isn't everybody else sick? Or maybe they're
Yep.
not just sick yet. The kid did get bit by a bug, could be that. But he also said when the first sound thing happened, he's like, oh, I should have covered my ears sooner. My head feels weird.
Yeah, that's true.
So again, this is all very confusing. It could be anything. And again,
Exactly.
that's the fucking point, people. This isn't fucking plot holes. This is making the audience feel the way these characters feel. Because, like, if you feel sick, like, you start thinking, like, oh, did I eat something fucked up? Oh, you know what? I did. It must be that McDonald's I ate. Maybe you have fucking stomach cancer, but you think it's the fucking McDonald's. Could be anything. You
Yeah.
don't know.
That's right. Yeah.
So again, just more really effective stuff that I thought was really cool. But specifically pulling out his teeth, I did not expect that to happen in this movie because it was like kind of a gory scene.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And the rest of the movie was like pretty fucking tame. The only
Yeah,
like
yeah.
horror elements of this movie were the deer that like kept gathering and like being
What was
weird.
that about?
Well, they said it.
They said the migration patterns were messed up
On that
but
radio.
It made no sense.
Made no sense. Not supposed to. The staticky,
supposed to, yeah.
the staticky radio when Ethan Hawke goes for a ride, he's like, you hear the staticky radio that's like,
He gets out of the car. He misses it. Yeah.
Whatever's going on caused like a catastrophic environmental disaster that's fucking with migration patterns. And then there's like pelicans in their fucking
Yeah.
pool and
Flamingos.
shit. Flamingos. Yeah. So again, that's the whole point is like, this is, you know, what would happen to the average citizen if America was destabilized or something happened, like an alien of anything, really. Could be anything. Because that's the thing. The movie ends with no explanation. There's a pan away shot where you see Manhattan that we joked about. There's a mushroom cloud coming out of the city and another bomb drops, and that's it.
Right.
And then the movie ends with her watching Friends to the Friends theme.
Yeah.
You get no answer. You get no satisfying explanation. We only know as much as they do. And guess what? That's nothing. They know nothing.
Nothing at all. Yep.
And I fucking thought it was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I really enjoyed the movie. I expected it, again, to be not great. And I thought we were going to be sitting here complaining about another fucking movie.
Another Netflix trash movie. Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was great. I thought it did everything it intended to do perfectly.
Yeah. I didn't really get, there was some questions. I mean, like, I guess it was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Like the deer, when they surrounded the girl, the GH's daughter, and they looked like they were about to attack her or something. That was just,
they were just being weird.
It was being so weird. Yeah.
I mean, it could have to do with a lot of things. Like, it could be the sound waves fucking with them. Like, storms fuck with animals, migration patterns and stuff. Like,
that's true.
Climate change is fucking with migration patterns. So it really could be anything. They were just being weird. Like, we're not meant to know whether that's why it's like, were they going to attack or were they just like fucking hanging out? It could be because fucking human beings are like hunkering down during this event that animals are like coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Could be a lot of different things. You know, matter of fact, when GH went to his neighbor's place and found the satellite phone, I thought it was interesting. Like, the fucking property's like destroyed.
Like, it been ravaged. Yeah.
Again, leaves you
Looted
questioning. Was it looted? Did some fucking crazy shit happen here? Or was it just a bunch of deer that ran through and fucked some shit up?
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Like, everything in this movie is questionable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, same thing with her fucking, when she woke up the first morning and she saw the news articles on her phone.
Did she? They go away.
Yeah.
Right.
Did she see them?
Did she see that?
Who the fuck knows? I don't know.
That's a trip. Yeah.
But yeah, and you know, I think the real underlying thing too with this is like, people think like this has some sort of agenda. Like, do you think they made this movie 2 weeks ago and then they just put it out? Like, this movie, movies take like several years to be written and produced and shot and like post-production. Like, it just so happens that it has like that it like closely aligns with what's going on now. There was a little Mr. Robot Easter egg in this too when they mentioned the power plant in New Jersey meltdown. I don't know if you remember that scene.
I do remember that. Yeah,
that happened. That was one of the plot points from Mr. Robot, like a hacker like fucking shuts down a fucking power plant or whatever.
Yeah,
but I mean,
why do you think they were lying to the kids so badly about what was happening?
Well, I mean, they're kids. You wouldn't want to fucking freak your fucking kids out. And also, I think there's
they're old enough where it's like,
I mean, she's 13.
You know? Well, she's young, but the boy is like 16. And then his daughter is at least 18 because she's got tattoos and stuff. I'm
she's vaping and shit.
She's vaping weed, yeah. Like,
but
I don't know.
I think, I don't know. There's a lot of also interesting things too. Like, I think there's underlying layers of it. Like, as a parent, obviously you want to protect your children.
Yeah.
Part of protecting them, sometimes parents think that like
lying to them,
keeping information from them is helping them. Like,
that's true.
Like the way GH he was keeping information about the planes because he didn't want her to associate with the planes going down, thinking that the mother was dead.
Mom, yeah.
Which she probably is dead. If planes are falling out of the sky.
Yes.
Very big
if
chance.
she got on the plane.
Right.
That we don't know either.
Exactly.
No one knows.
But the other thing too is like, I feel like, you know, and Julia Roberts says it at one point, so I'm not big brain in this, but like when there's part of like an acceptance thing, like when you say something out loud, it's like, it makes it real. I don't remember exactly how she said it. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. Ethan Hawke says it. She was like, why didn't you, or she says it to him. She asks him initially, why didn't you tell them about the oil tanker? And he says, I don't know. And then he says, why didn't you say anything? And she goes, I don't know. Maybe because I was afraid it would make it real or something. Because a lot of the movie, the first like day or so, they're all like, nah, nothing's going on. Like, it's not a big deal.
It'll be fine in the morning.
Yeah, it's probably just a fucking power outage or whatever the fuck. So like, there's like a level of acceptance that happens when you know, if you prepare kids for, or anybody for something that makes it real, I guess that's how I took it.
Yeah.
But like, you know, again, the underlying premise here is about how like societies, we have this like extended exposure to like agenda driven fucking fear mongering that makes up like the mainstream media. And it has left our country and other parts of the world, I'm sure, like paranoid and distrusting of things. And, you know, the population can't tell what's real and what's propaganda. And, you know, that there's also little like subtle stuff too, where I don't know if you remember the scene when they were going to bed, but Mahershala Ali and his daughter, she was like trying to convince him that Ethan Hawke was a piece of shit because she felt that they would be safer alone than with the other family.
Right.
And she's like, oh yeah, he's trying to fuck me. Like he wants to fuck me.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to like get the father to not want to partner up with them. So there's just like a lot of like cool little subtle things that I saw throughout the movie that every time I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. Cause you know, that would happen probably. But yeah, I don't know. Really liked it. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Any other points in the movie?
Did you have a favorite scene?
Not really. I don't think it was one of those movies that like honestly, it was really that scene with Kevin Bacon that I said, because the whole movie presents him up until that point as like the guy that knows what's going on, right? Yeah. She seems him doomsday prepping, so she's like, that guy fucking knew what was going on. He didn't know what was going on. He's just,
but he buys that shit every fucking weekend.
Right. He's just a doomsday prepper.
Yeah.
And even a broken clock is right twice a day, right?
Exactly.
So I thought that was really cool that like they build him up to be this like guy who's going to save them and who's going to know what's going on. And when they finally meet him, he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
He thinks he does. But that line was fucking hilarious where I got to say it again. He's just like, tell you what, it's fucking Korea. They're behind all this. And he's like, Korea? You would think so? He's like, yeah, either them or China. One of them. And I just thought that was very funny. Yep. But so, I mean, I don't know who knows what was going on. I mean, you know,
aliens.
Ethan Hawke gets the fucking flyer that was dropped by like a drone or a plane or whatever the fuck. And it said death to America. Did it say Arabic? Death to America? That's information he just got from his fucking dumbass son who like
dumbass son
saw it in a video game. Like it's just everything the movie presents is unreliable, like on purpose. And I'm just flummoxed by how people didn't really see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a disaster film goes, I think it was really cool. I think it was really unique. I haven't really seen anything done like this before. Because again, disaster films have been done time and time again. And also to make a movie that's like very like does what this does with where it's like about the characters and not the disaster event, you have to have like really strong writing and like really strong characters. I don't think the movie necessarily had either of those things in terms of like dialogue and stuff, but the writing itself was strong in terms of like all these things that we're talking about, all these little subtleties and shit like that.
Yeah. I think the plot was, I mean, we agreed that it's a pretty good plot, and so I think that helps a lot too.
Yeah,
even
for
if you
sure.
don't have the strongest dialogue and all that.
Yeah.
People generally enjoy post-apocalyptic themes, I feel like.
Yeah, but I mean, they've been done to death. You got fucking zombie apocalypse, you got fucking AI apocalypse, you got alien invasions, you got fucking zombies again. Like, it's always fucking zombies. This was unique because like it doesn't explain anything. And you even have fucking apocalyptic movies that are like this that do explain shit. Where it's like Red Dawn is one of those. Like we get invaded by Russia. Like I don't really give a fuck about that. I think it was cool that I saw some people comment saying like, oh, I wanted to know more about what was going on. Like, why? You don't have to know what's going on. It doesn't matter. Something's going on, clearly. And
that's
it ain't,
all you know. That's the only fact.
Right. Yeah. So it's
something is happening.
Yeah. So I don't know why. People have this need, this weird desire to like be spoon fed shit that I don't quite understand.
Well, people like closure. People like.
Yeah, but
you kind of mentioned when we watched Nope, or was it Nope? It was something we watched where you was like, "Oh, this is too open ended for me," or something like that. I think it was Nope.
Was it Nope? I feel like it was more recent.
Maybe it was more, but either way, you did make that comment.
Was
so.
it No One Will Save You? No.
No.
What did we watch before No One Will Save You? I think it was that.
I think it.
Oh, it was the one hole in the ground, I think.
Oh,
Right? Maybe was it that? I don't know.
Maybe.
Listen, I am a student of John Carpenter, okay? I think the ending of Halloween is one of the greatest endings in movie history. I think the ending of fucking The Thing is one of the greatest endings in the history of movies.
Yeah.
I don't need closure like that, but the story has to serve it, right?
Right.
Again, I've said this so many times now. I'm sick of hearing myself say it, so I can't imagine how sick of me you must be, and the audience. But Halloween's ending serves the story. Michael Myers is this force of nature. So it would only make sense that he exits the same way he came in, with as much mystery to it.
Right.
With The Thing, that whole movie is about this, really, but to the extreme. It's about fucking isolation and paranoia and distrust. And what does the end of the movie do? It doesn't tell you who you can be trusted or who can't.
That's true.
Is it the guy you've spent the whole movie like basically seeing from his perspective what's going on? Or is it the other dude who was like stepped away for a couple of scenes and you don't know where he went and has no breath?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's brilliant fucking writing. And in this movie, I think so too. There's no need to know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Because guess what? They might never find out what's going on.
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen to them. And that's left for us to either decide or think about. Like, I think that is strong writing.
It is.
Because it invites the audience into what's going on. That's what's so great about video games, which we were talking about a few minutes ago. Video games has the ability to deliver that type of storytelling because it's inviting the audience in to experience the thing that the characters do. You're playing it, right?
Yep.
And that's taken even further in games that, like, in RPGs largely, that like lets you make decisions and stuff, and like they put you through like The Witcher, for instance. The Witcher 3 puts you through these like really like crazy like moral fucking decisions.
Yeah.
And it's never the right decision. It's just like what happens to be the better decision. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't know. I just thought that movie did this really well. Now, to answer your question, yes, there are some times where I think closure is better, but that's because the story made it that way. That's all.
Right.
I don't think if like at the end of this movie, if we found out what was going on, would it improve the movie in any way, shape, or form? No.
Probably not.
It wouldn't change anything. The people are still involved in this situation. They're still fucking like the kid is sick, probably going to die because the pills that they gave him aren't going to do shit. They're not going to know what happened to him. Like, or maybe they get saved. Maybe the fucking government comes rolling through with tanks and they're like, all right, come on, we're going to a fucking base. Like, who knows? I don't think those types of things would have served the movie. Another example.
It got his point across for sure.
Have you seen the movie The Mist? The last thing I'll say.
The Mist. No, I haven't.
With Thomas Jane. All right, it was based on a Stephen King short, and it's basically a bunch of people get trapped in a supermarket, and a strange mist come rolling through the town, and there's like beasts and ghouls in the fucking mist.
Oh, okay.
And you go outside, you get fucking slaughtered. So they're trapped in this supermarket, right?
Yeah.
Well, in the story, it's like the government was working on some like portal between worlds or whatever. So they opened some shit up and some stuff came through. But in the short story, the written version of the short story, the main character is I think his son. I forget what happens. His son gets like injured or something, and I think like when you get bit by these things, you're like basically dead. And he's like traveling with it. He has to like leave the supermarket basically to try to get help. And the story ends with him just like endlessly traveling into the mist, and you don't know
what happens to him.
Or his son's not sick. I'm sorry. He thinks there's like no hope left or something like that. But the book ends like ambiguously. You don't really know what happens. Well, the movie, which was directed and written by Frank Darabont, who's a brilliant man, he ended it differently. It ends with Thomas Jane and his son and a bunch of other survivors driving into the mist, and they think it's hopeless. And there's a scene, this is the best ending in movies. Like, there's a fucking giant, like, brontosaurus fucking monster, like, walking by them, and you only see the legs in the mist. And Thomas Jane is like, all right, well, we're fucked. I'm gonna fucking not put my son through this fucking, like, horrendous thing.
Yeah.
And he fucking kills his son. Right? And then the movie closes with him on his knees crying with a gun in his mouth, gonna finish. Because he kills everybody, and they all decide like we got to die, like we don't want to deal with this. And the gun's in his mouth, and he's gonna fucking kill himself. And right before he does it, the mist clears, and the fucking government comes rolling through, killing all these fucking monsters. It's one of the best endings I think I've ever seen in a movie. Fuck. Yeah, it's so fucking like your facial expression is like that's the best. It's like.
That's fucked.
This motherfucker just killed his kid, and they're like, they were gonna get saved. And even Stephen King is like, wow, that ending is so brilliant. I wish I thought of it.
Wow, that's sick.
So that's just an example of like, there's sometimes where closure's good, sometimes closure's not. It's both of the way, like the way Stephen King ended it and the way Frank Darabont ended it are both great, but they just serve different purposes. For this movie here, I don't think a solid answer to anything would have really improved this story at all. I think for what they were trying to do, what the story they were trying to tell, I think it was perfect as is.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed it. It has a 6.5.
Do you think it was a little long?
Initially I was like 2.5 hours when I sat down. I was like, wow. And the way the movie started, it was slow. I was like, damn, this is gonna be tough. But it wasn't actually. I thought it was perfect. I mean, you know, there was some things here and there that probably could have been like tightened up a little bit, but I think every scene that happened like really served the story well. Like everything. I don't think there was one moment where I was like, I don't think there was really one
sleeping in that shack behind.
That might have been the only scene that I could have did without because it didn't really add anything. It didn't have
anything, yeah.
It just added like a little bit of mystery to it, but it didn't really serve the overall plot at all or the story. So, I don't know. I didn't think it was too long, though. 2.5 hours is long, but I didn't really feel the length at all.
No,
So, yeah, that's the sign of a great movie, folks. Did you feel the length? But, yeah, I loved it. It's got a 6.5 on IMDb. I'm going to bump that up. I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, 7.
Solid 7.
I think 7 is solid. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
solid 7 for sure. Everybody who's like fucking shitting on this movie, I just don't think they know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah,
they just want something that this movie wasn't, and you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
My final takeaway from this movie, though, is I love Mahershala Ali. This dude is a fucking destroyer. He was a resounding standout in this movie. He was the best person on screen every time he was on screen, and I can't fucking wait to see him play Blade. Please don't fuck it up, Marvel.
Oh my God, I cannot wait for Blade. Yeah,
bro, he's gonna be so good as Blade. Oh, yeah, he's gonna fucking kill it. But yeah, there you have it, folks. There's our thoughts on Leave the World Behind. I'm glad we didn't do the news because I knew this movie was going to probably take a little bit of extra time. Yeah, it's just like a lot to talk about. There's a lot of little like things to point out and shit. Like it's not just like, I don't know, it's just not you're not just watching this play out. Like there's a lot of like little things going on. You know, another really great scene too. You asked me what one of my favorite scenes was. Well, my other favorite scene was when he ran into the Spanish lady on the road.
Oh yeah, that was trippy.
And she was like hitchhiking, and she's like screaming in fucking Spanish, and he doesn't understand her, and we don't understand her, and we don't
understand,
and you feel the way he feels, like whoa, like chill the fuck out, doesn't know what to do, and just drives away.
Yeah,
which like I'd probably do the same thing. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't understand what's happening, and I'm freaking the fuck out. So I don't know, just everything they did in the movie was really effective, and it was good. That was great.
My favorite scene was probably GH's explanation of what the best way to overthrow a government.
Right at the end, yeah. The 3-stage plan.
Yeah, the most cost-effective way to.
Yeah, which is probably accurate, but is that what's happening? Who the fuck knows?
Right, we don't know for sure. Yeah,
it made sense at the time to them.
Yeah.
So, but again, could be anything.
Right.
But. Yeah, the only thing that's clear is that something is happening, and it is not good. Not good at all. But yeah, folks, there you have it. There's our thoughts on Leave the World Behind, the latest from Netflix. Check it out if you haven't. I think it's worth a watch. It's a good movie. Really effective thriller. If you have seen it, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. As always, all of our links and information is available on our website, harshlanguage.tv. And if this is your first time checking out the channel, consider subscribing and you'll be notified for future episodes. And we appreciate everybody watching. And I think we'll be back next week. What are we watching next week? What did we say? Oh, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to do an amendment. I don't remember what we were going to say, but I want to watch. I think we have to watch Rebel Moon since that came out this week.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember if we had decided on anything anyway. So
no. All right. So next week it is Rebel Moon. Check back with us next week and see our thoughts on that movie. But thanks.
Yeah.
It's getting mixed reviews, but of course to the Snyder fans, it's getting review bombed because they don't like Zack Snyder. So yeah.
Classic. Yeah.
We'll see. I'll make my own judgments, and I will be fair and honest.
That's right. Always.
Because we are fair and balanced here on the Harsh Language Podcast. But
That's right.
Until next week, folks, thanks for listening and watching. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.